Hi, this is Imogen here with my guest, Shay Seaborne, who is also the co-teacher on our Foundations of Regulation online course. Shay's a trauma awareness educator and has lots of experience and knowledge to share. And she has just gone through one of the most stressful things that people can do, and that is that she has just moved house. I just looked up online and saw that there was some little survey in 2020 that 64% of the respondents said that moving their most their most recent move was one of the most stressful things they'd ever experienced. So coming into this, if you're already dealing with chronic stress or trauma, and then you have to do something like move, what did you do, Shay? What were some of the strategies you used to help the process be a little bit more manageable, maybe even moments of enjoying it? I don't know. So
Actually, I've moved, I think, about close to 40 times in my life. Yeah. And this was one of the least stressful and most enjoyable, actually. Even though I went from not moving to moved in 33 days. And
yeah,
that was
you had
quite
a
a challenge. But I focused on the benefits of the move, the positive lifestyle change that went with it. And I made sure that I built in extra rest time. I've become pretty good at resting and napping. And my goal was to be so ahead of the curve that I had 2 days of rest and doing nothing before moving day, because I had a procedure the day before moving as well.
That's right.
That didn't happen, but I did use those days at other times. There were times when my body just said, "That's it, we're not doing anything today," and I spent most of the day lying around, resting, sleeping, napping, just piddling little things.
So what two things strike me about that? One, that you recognized that you needed that, and two, that you gave yourself.
Yes.
There's one thing we can kind of know that we're tired and just push through, and there may be times where you have to do that, but when you've got this long term, in terms of that it was a month of stuff, you knew that you couldn't keep up that sort of pace indefinitely every single day of that month coming
Right.
into your move,
Even without
so
PTSD. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's really important to understand your neurobiology enough to recognize that if you keep pushing to hack your neurobiology for productivity longer than short periods of time, you're going to do damage to your body, serious damage that may not be recoverable.
Yeah. So you were able to listen to your body and understand what it was. I'm saying it like your body is separate from you, but you were able to listen to the signals you were getting from yourself, and able to act on them and build in time to be able to rest. So what are some of the other things that you do? When we were talking earlier, you talked about also kind of brain breaks, intentional brain breaks. So that's
the problem with focused attention is if we focus it too hard, too long on one thing, it's bad for our nervous system too. So I would go outside or switch tasks to, go from something that was more executive function to something that was more automatic. Oh, I think I'll go wash dishes now because I don't really have to think while I do that. Or just stopping to pause and doing one of the practices that we teach in our classes, just for a moment, 30 seconds can make such a difference to the nervous system.
Yes, and I would say to your nervous system and to the amount of tension that you're carrying in your body, especially when we're really focused and wanting to get it done, which is obviously you want to get everything packed up and there's so much to do, and that kind of overload, to have a moment of reprieve from that. That is, as well as in the nervous system, it's in the tension in all your muscles.
Yeah.
And so
that
it's
can really
giving a
affect your
little bit of,
quality of life.
yeah, it's giving a
Yeah.
little bit of relief from that. You know, so again, it's not like a 24/7 thing. It might
No,
just relieve it a tiny bit, but those
that's
tiny
the
bits
key.
add up.
Hmm. uh, One of the kind of tricks I discovered is that it really helps. It kind of gives me a brain break while I keep working. If I focus really intently on being with whatever I'm doing, rather than going, okay, I got to get these glasses wrapped up, and then I got to do the plates, and then I got to, instead of doing that, pick this up and go, oh yeah, I made this and I like it. And I'm going to wrap it nice and careful and neat so that it's in good shape, when I get it to my new place. And oh, I see a little dust on there. I'm going to clean that off because I want my new place to be a fresh start. And like feel the contact with the paper and listen to the sound of it and just be very, very physically present with something that simple can also be a brain break.
I really, really love this so much, and it's tied in with Alexander technique, which is my background, of this idea of end gaining, which is like when we're focused on the end result that we want, which would be to have everything packed up and we're on the next thing, rather than being in the present of what we're actually doing right now. And you just described perfectly, and I could see in just how you gestured the different ways of being, you could see that in your body as well, the difference. And when you were attentive and actually caring about the thing that you were wrapping, and I'm sure if you're human, and that was probably moments of that, because there's so much to do, it's just really natural that you're going to be thinking about what's next. And
Yeah. There were plenty of classes.
So we're back after a very brief internet blip, but Shay, you were saying about all these different things that you were doing, and it strikes me that your capacity to be able to pause and be present, or pause and notice what was going on in your body, these different ways of pausing, even for just a moment, were really kind of like a through line in what was kind of helpful to you.
Yeah, that's true. Pretty much everything that I did was a kind pause, whether it was to wrap the pretty thing, mindfully, or take a brain break, or stop an overwhelm. It was all pauses. And they add up, like we talk about a drip, drip, drip infusion, and that helps the nervous system stay regulated and healthy. And I was able to, I don't know how I did it in a way, it just is so remarkable that somebody with the kind of trauma I have could get through something so stressful as moving, by myself, really. As far as the packing and all went, I had very little help. You helped me the most. And the rest of it I did on my own, and was able to somehow I feel like the practices and the breaks also allowed me a kind of vitality and energy, combined with the idea of moving in a better environment, to be more productive. I was basically doing 6 hours of functioning a day, which is a lot for somebody who spent most of 2020 in bed.
Yeah.
And I have to break it up. I can do like 4 hours and then a long break of 3 or 4 hours, and then maybe 2 more hours at night of something, less intensive. But for me, that 6 hours of productivity, which includes, self-care, shower, food, and all those things, is a lot relative. And it was invigorating to have that. And that seemed to, also build on my excitement about moving and make it less stressful and more positive.
And it strikes me that because you've worked with me and the body intelligence Alexander technique stuff, you've practiced it, and all your knowledge of the neurobiology of trauma and your understanding of that, and some of the other things that you've practiced and practiced and practiced, drip, 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 drip for a while now,
Yes.
quite
And
a few years. And so it wasn't like you had to, it wasn't out of the realm of what was more usual for you these days to be able to pause. You've practiced it. You've practiced noticing and being able to tune in a little bit more to what's going on in your body more safely over the last few years. So that's gave you a capacity to be able to do this. And I know that with or without this, you're a very strong person. So I don't want to put it all on this, but I do think it gave you a great advantage.
Yeah, definitely. Determination was a big part of it, for sure. And determination to, do it as kindly to my nervous system as possible. And shoot, I just lost my train of thought.
Well, I can just say as kindly to your nervous system, that's as kindly to your whole self.
Right.
That's
right, to every cell in your
muscles,
body.
it's kind of to your organs, it's kind of to everything. So yeah.
Imagine a world where we were all kind to our nervous systems and each other's.
Yeah.
It would be amazing.
And I do know that you were able to receive and accept help from various people, and that must have been very, not only kind of in a very literal way helpful, but it helpful to your nervous system and physiology too, because these are back kindly toward other people. It's the co-regulation in part that we talk about in our groups. And
right, and just the empathy from people who understand what it's like to move is really helpful. This gave me an opportunity to ask for help, and that's hard for me, and to accept help that's offered, and that can also be hard for me. But I went into it understanding that this was part of the process for me, and that it would ultimately be good. Some people proved to be, the stalwarts of my life that I knew were there, and other people showed up that I didn't expect, and helped in ways that I really couldn't have predicted. Even, a neighbor that I know only from talking to him while he walks his dog saw that I was talking to the owner of the cottage and said, "Hey, are you moving in?" And I told him I was, and he said, "Well, let me know if you need any help. I have a van." Just, people that showed up kindly and unexpectedly really helped my nervous system feel more safe and connected. And that's a really important feeling, especially when you've been isolated for so long.
Well, to finish up, I just want to just say that I hope that you are just really thrive in your new place, and you absolutely deserve that. And that we have our next Foundations of Regulation online course starting in about a month. I think it's 4 weeks from tomorrow. And these practices, this information about understanding your own neurobiology in a very simple way. We're not, you don't have to
basic
be
terms
a
and concepts
scientist.
is all you need. Yeah.
In a very
It's
practical, everyday way. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just words to describe what's already happening inside you so that you understand it better.
Yeah. Then when things happen that could be very positive but stressful, move, wedding, something like that, and of course the less welcome, the stressful events of life too. But then when you've practiced and understand, it makes it a bit easier to go through them in a more healthy way. So okay, any other words before we finish up?
I just don't know how I could have moved without all this practice and theory behind me. I don't think it would have been possible. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay.